Commanders fans, what you're about to hear is gonna knock the wind out of you. We've got a divisional humiliation that lit the fuse on a war warning, a coordinator packing his bags after a defensive meltdown, and decisions coming that'll determine whether we protect our franchise quarterback or throw him to the wolves out of pride. This isn't just about a lost season. This is about revenge, confirmed firings, and the entire future of this franchise hanging by a thread. Hit that like button and subscribe now, because every second of this video is packed with exclusive info you won't want to miss. Look, I've been covering this team for years, watching how we get treated in the division. But what happened Saturday at Northwest Stadium? That left me speechless. The Eagles, up 27-10 with just over 4 minutes left, went for a 2-point conversion. You get what that means? That wasn't about strategy. That wasn't about game math. That was straight-up disrespect. That was a message. We're not just beating you. We're embarrassing you in your own house. And let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw a team pull something like that with that kind of lead and that little time left? Because I'm telling you, Nick Sirianni knew exactly what he was doing. After the game, he gave some weak excuse about analytics, saying they wanted to be up by 19 instead of 18, so we couldn't tie with a field goal and 2 touchdowns with 2-point conversions. Really? That's the story we're going with. Let me tell you something about Dan Quinn. The man was pissed. When asked about the play, he didn't sugarcoat it. I can only speak for my side and what I would do. If that's how they want to, play fine. We see them again in 2 weeks. You hear that? We see them again in 2 weeks. That's not just a statement. That's a warning. That's a promise that payback's coming. Bobby Wagner, our veteran linebacker, spoke up too, and I love this guy's mindset. He said exactly what needed to be said. I didn't get it. I don't know what their perspective was, so it is what it is. Was it disrespectful? Maybe, but we still got to stop them. That's how I see it. Wagner's not making excuses. He's not whining. He's putting the focus where it belongs. On us, on our failure to stop them when it mattered most. But here's where it gets real. That 2-point try wasn't just an insult. It lit a fire. It sparked a full-on brawl on the field. Tempers flared, fists flew, and I'm telling you right now, that heat's not cooling off in 2 weeks. If anything, it's going to boil over. Because now we've got a locker room full of guys who feel disrespected, who got stomped on in their own house. And that's pure fuel for what's coming down. So let me ask you, do you think Quinn's going to forget this? You think our players are just going to let this slide? I don't. I think when we face the Eagles again in Week 18, we're going to see a different team. A team with something to prove. A team with a score to settle. A team burning for revenge. That goes way beyond the scoreboard. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. This season's been a mess. We're 4-11. Jaden Daniels is out with multiple injuries. Our defense has been a sieve. But if there's one thing that can unite a broken locker room, if there's one thing that can spark a fire in the dark, it's this. It's the disrespect. It's the insult. It's the need to defend the honor of this franchise. The Eagles thought they could come into our house and do whatever they wanted. Sirianni thought he could hide behind analytics and weak excuses. But I'm telling you, they woke up the wrong giant. Because Quinn doesn't let stuff like this slide. Wagner doesn't stay quiet. And this fan base? We don't forget. You know what's crazy? The Eagles might have done us a favor. They gave us exactly what we needed. Motivation, anger, a purpose beyond just finishing the season. Now we've got a reason to fight. A reason to leave it all on the field these last 2 weeks. And I guarantee you, when that rematch comes, it's gonna be fireworks. But here's my question to you. Should Quinn use this as fuel in the locker room? Or should we just focus on cleaning up our game and let the results speak for themselves? I think there's a balance. Yeah, use it as fire, but also fix the execution. Because all the motivation in the world won't matter if we keep making the same mistakes. If that last part shocked you, wait till you hear this, because what's coming next is absolutely critical for the future of this franchise. According to reports from Ian Rapoport and Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, Dan Quinn is likely to keep his job as head coach of the Commanders, but Joe Witt, our defensive coordinator, is on the hot seat and almost certainly out after the season. And honestly, it was just a matter of time. Look at the numbers. Look at the regression. This defense went from average to flat-out embarrassing. Last year, with Witt calling plays, we were ranked 18th in points allowed, 13th in yards, and 17th in EPA per play. Not elite, but solid enough for a team that made it to the conference championship mostly on the back of an explosive offense. But this year, total collapse. When Quinn took over play-calling duties from Witt in early November, we were sitting at 29th in points allowed and 30th in yards. 6 weeks later, with Quinn calling the shots, we've only improved slightly, up to 26 in points, still 31st in yards. You know what that tells you? The problem isn't just play calling. It's systemic. It's personnel. It's scheme. It's everything. Now here's the twist. Witt isn't just some random coordinator. He worked with Quinn in Dallas from 2021 to 2023 as the defensive backs coach. He was on Quinn's staff in Atlanta. Back in 2020, there's history. There's trust. But in the NFL, trust doesn't save you when the results don't show up. And the results just aren't there. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw this Commander's defense play with intensity, with discipline, with a clear game plan? It's been way too long. Look at what happened with the Martian Lattimore trade. We brought in an elite cornerback, a guy who was supposed to transform our secondary. And what happened? Nothing. We're still getting torched. Still giving up third downs. Still not forcing turnovers when it matters most. And then there's the Montez Sweat situation. We let go of one of the best young pass rushers in the league. And what did we do to replace him? Basically, nothing. We relied on aging vets past their prime and young guys who aren't ready. The result? A defensive line that can't generate consistent pressure. But here's what really worries me. According to reports, Josh Harris, our owner, still believes in Dan Quinn. That surprise run to the conference championship last year bought Quinn at least one more season. But I'm telling you, that seat's going to be hot from day one of the 2026 season. If we see another year like this, with this kind of drop-off, there won't be any excuses left. And here's the elephant in the room nobody wants to talk about. Quinn wasn't the first choice. The Commanders went hard after Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, one of the brightest minds in the league. Johnson turned us down, said no thanks. So we hired Quinn as Plan B now. That doesn't mean Quinn can't succeed. But it does mean that if things don't improve fast, Harris and Adam Peters are going to start looking elsewhere. Let's talk about Cliff Kingsbury for a second. Last year, after Jaden Daniels' Offensive Rookie of the Year season, Kingsbury was on a lot of teams' radar for head coaching jobs. He didn't take any interviews. He stayed loyal to Quinn and Daniels. But this year, with Daniels hurt and the offense struggling, Kingsbury's stock has cooled off. And honestly, that's good for Quinn, because if Kingsbury stays, if we keep that offensive continuity, it gives Quinn a better shot at success in 2020-6. Back to Witt. The guy's 47, been a defensive backs coach in the NFL for years, even interviewed for the Jets head coaching job this year. He clearly wants more than just a coordinator role. But after this season, after these numbers, after this regression, he's going to have to take a step back before he can move forward again. Here's my take. Witt's not the only problem. The real issue is we've got an aging defense, holes in key spots, and not enough depth to compete in the NFC East. The Cowboys, for all their chaos, have talent. The Eagles have one of the best defensive lines in the league. The Giants are rebuilding, but have some promising young pieces. And us? We've got vets closer to retirement than their prime, young guys who aren't ready, and a scheme that just doesn't work. So what's next? I think Quinn's going to bring in someone from his inner circle, someone who gets his vision, someone who can install a scheme that actually fits the talent we've got, limited as it may be. But more than that, we need a full reevaluation of our defensive roster. We need to figure out who the core players are, who's replaceable, and what positions we need to hit hard in the draft and free agency. And you know what's most frustrating? We had a shot. Last year proved that when things click, when offense and defense complement each other, we can hang with anyone. But this year, with Daniels hurt, the defense falling apart, and no real adjustments, we wasted that shot. So now I ask you, is Quinn the right coach to take this franchise to the next level? Or is it time for a bigger change? I think he deserves another shot, but it comes with conditions. He needs to hire the right defensive coordinator. He needs Daniels to stay healthy, and he needs Adam Peters to give him the tools to compete. If any of that falls through, then yeah, it's time to move on. Let's not sugarcoat it. This season is done. We're sitting at 4-11, and it's time to start thinking about what comes next. And when I say next, I'm talking about Jaden Daniels. I'm talking about how we protect our franchise. Quarterback. I'm talking about the decisions we're about to make. That'll determine whether we become contenders or stay stuck in mediocrity. Look, I know it's tough to admit. After the high of last year, making it to the conference championship, watching Daniels win Offensive Rookie of the Year, this season has been a brutal reality check. Injuries wrecked us. Daniels has been in and out of the lineup, and when he's played, he hasn't looked like the same electric player we saw last year. So here's the question. Is that on Daniels? Or is it on how we've handled him? Because I think Quinn has to take some of the blame. When your franchise quarterback is banged up, when he's clearly not 100%, you've got to make tough calls. You've got to prioritize his long-term health over chasing a couple meaningless wins in a lost season. And I'm not sure we did that. Here's what really worries me. Last year, Daniels was magic. He made plays that didn't make sense. He extended drives with his legs, dropped dimes on the run, led this team with a poise you don't expect from a rookie. And all of that happened with Kingsbury designing an offense that played to his strengths, his mobility, his arm, his ability to read defenses. This year, with the injuries, the lack of protection, receivers who can't consistently separate, Daniels hasn't had the same shot. And that brings me to the next point. We need to invest in the offensive line. We need to give Daniels time in the pocket. We need to make sure that when he steps on the field, he's got the tools to succeed. Let's talk draft. We're 4-11, which means we're looking at a high pick. And I'm telling you, we can't waste it. We need to identify the biggest holes on this roster and attack them hard. Is it the O-line? Is it an elite pass rusher to replace Sweat? Is it a young corner to grow alongside Lattimore? Whatever the needs are, we've got to hit on this pick. Then there's free agency. Adam Peters showed last year he's not afraid to make bold moves. The Lattimore trade proved that. But now we've got to be smarter, more strategic. We need to find vets who can contribute right away, but we also can't mortgage the future for short-term Band-Aids. And here's something a lot of fans don't want to hear. We might need to be patient. I know after last year's success, we all thought we were ready to chase a Super Bowl. But the truth is, we're still building. We're still figuring out who our core is. We're still developing our identity. But I'll say this, the core is there. Daniels is a franchise quarterback, no doubt. Kingsbury is a brilliant offensive mind when he's got the right pieces. We've got some young defenders with upside, but we need more. We need depth. We need veteran leadership. We need guys who know what it takes to win in this league. Now let's circle back to Quinn. The guy's got experience. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's run elite defenses. He knows how to build a winning culture, but he's also shown some real flaws. His handling of Daniels this year? Questionable. His inability to adjust the defensive scheme when it clearly wasn't working? Concerning his lack of control over Wit? A problem, but here's the thing. I still think Quinn deserves another shot. Not because he earned it this year, but because stability matters. Changing coaches every 2 years is a recipe for disaster. Daniels needs continuity. Kingsbury needs time to keep building this offense. And Quinn needs a chance to fix what went wrong, but that chance comes with expectations. Next year, we need to see real progress. We need a defense that's at least average. We need Daniels healthy and playing like the star we know he is. We need wins, not just effort, not just we almost had it. Real wins against real teams. So here's my question for Josh Harris and Adam Peters. Are you ready to give Quinn what he needs to succeed? Are you going to spend in free agency? Are you going to nail the draft? Are you going to bring in the right defensive coordinator? Because if the answer is no, then it doesn't matter who the coach is. We'll stay stuck in the same place. Let's talk NFC East for a second. The Eagles are rolling 12-3, one of the best offenses and defenses in the league. The Cowboys are a mess, but they've got talent and they're always dangerous. The Giants are rebuilding, but they've got a young quarterback in Daniel Jones who could be something if they fix the rest. And us? We're somewhere in the middle, trying to figure out who we are. But I'll tell you this, the NFC East is a cycle. The Eagles won't dominate forever. The Cowboys will eventually fix their issues. And us? If we make the right moves, if we make the right calls, we can be back in the mix fast. But we've got to act now. We've got to be smart. And we've got to have a clear plan. So here's my final take on this season. It was a disaster. No way around it. But disasters can be turning points. They can be the moments that define a franchise. They can be the spark for the changes we need. And that's exactly what this season has to be for us. We've got to learn from our mistakes. We've got to figure out what went wrong and why. We've got to make tough calls on players, on coaches, on strategy. And we've got to head into next season with urgency, with a plan, and with the mindset that we're not going to repeat the same mistakes. Look, Commanders fans, I know this season has been brutal. I know it's been months of frustration, disappointment, and asking ourselves what went wrong. But this is where we separate ourselves from the rest. This is where we prove we're burgundy and go to the core through the good and the bad. Do you think Quinn can bounce back next year with the right defensive coordinator? Do you believe Daniels will come back stronger after this injury-filled season? Do you trust Peters to make the right moves this offseason to get us back in the fight? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you think needs to change. If you're as passionate about this team as I am, if you want to keep breaking down every move, every decision, every play, then hit that subscribe button. Because I promise you, in the coming weeks we've got more breaking news, deeper analysis, and content you won't find on any other Commanders channel. And remember, we're a family here. A family that bleeds burgundy and gold, that suffers together, celebrates together, and never, ever walks away from this team no matter how tough things get. So join this community, be part of something bigger, and let's live every moment of this journey together. And remember, hail to the Redskins!